for buyers. So, I mean, the buyers that we are working with, there is a lot of them, obviously, but a house that's properly priced, it doesn't need too much work. A day or two on market, they're getting 5 to 10 offers. So we're writing legitimately so many pre-approvals for the same client, and we're seeing clients lose out when they're going 20, 30,000 over ask, which is insane if you ask me. But that's where the market is. So just to circle back to rates. So yeah, the big banks are actually raising their rates because of all the volume that's coming in. So one of the big banks, we had a client the other day, my CEO told us that he had a client that was a 500 purchase, putting 50% down, 804 credit on a single family primary. And the big bank told him, hey, we're doing 3.375 across the board. When he talked to us, we were able to offer him 2.75. So if you guys have clients that are working with one of the big banks and they talked to them about a month ago or so, and they said, oh yeah, you're at 2.75, 2.85, you might want them to check in again just to see where their rate's at. And when they see it's at like 3.375, maybe give us a call, because we're not raising our rates. We want all the volume to come in. So that's the first thing with the rates. And then the one thing that we're doing with our buyers that you guys have heard me talk about too is that TBD program. In this market, it's more crucial than ever. And for those of you who don't know what the TBD program is, it stands for to be determined. So the client will go through the mortgage process without a contract in hand. So they'll sign mortgage disclosures, go through processing, go through underwriting, and get a loan approval from the underwriter based on credit, income, and assets. That way, when you're presenting your next offer, not only will you have the pre-approval to the specific property, you'll have the underwriter's loan approval to present with it. And in that case, it's basically as good as cash, because we can legitimately close within 2 to 3 weeks, because the only things that we're waiting on at that point are the appraisal, homeowner's insurance, and title work. So that is something that, I mean, we've been telling you guys for a while. Now it's starting to hit in with the buyers and the agents that are pushing it to their clients. But the clients we've seen, I mean, it usually takes about 2 to 4 offers of them losing out before they're like, all right, yeah, maybe this makes sense. Let's try this. But that's definitely something that you guys should start to take advantage of if you guys haven't already. And if you guys are working with the buyers that have those price points that are super, super competitive.
Awesome. So real quick, and 2 questions for you based on what you're saying is you're saying that things are going so far over ask, and that's what I'm seeing as well. Are you seeing problems with appraisals?
Knock on wood, not yet. And just, yeah, exactly. And just an example, because last week I had a deal, it was the purchase price with a seller concession was 325. The appraisal actually came back lower. It came back at 307. But like I've always said to you guys, before they submit it to become official, they give us the opportunity to go back and forth to provide comps in order to justify it. And we were going back and forth for about a week and a half, and we finally got enough comps to justify the price. Right before the sellers were about to back off the deal. The deal would have been dead, but we got it at the last minute. So we got it to appraise for the 325, which was a deal breaker. Everyone in the process was pumped. But other than that, I haven't really seen, and really nobody that I've talked to at Bond Street has seen any problems yet. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 30 to 60 days, because that's when we're really seeing these properties get accepted at 30, 40, 50,000 over ask. But like I said, even if that does happen, we do get the opportunity to provide comps, and our appraisers are from the area, so they know exactly what's going on. You're not going to get an appraiser going to Bergen County if they live in the city, or going to Central Jersey if they live in the city. So they're familiar with the market, what's going on, and they're gonna account for all these the lack of inventory and the bidding wars that all these houses are seeing right now.
That's awesome. Anybody have any questions for Everett while you have them? None at all.
Hey, I'll leave my contact
information. So efficient, Everett, that you just kind of, that's it, man. You say it.
Exactly. That's all we need. That's all we need. But I'll leave my contact, my cell, and my email in the chat. If you guys have any questions after or whenever, definitely don't hesitate to call, reach out any way I can. I'm here to help you guys out any way I can.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
All right, guys. I want to just get right into this now. And I'm going to start with a really quick PowerPoint. Just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, if you're newer to KW, if you're newer to the idea of profit share, I want to talk a little bit about how it works and how it came about. For starters, I personally am a big fan of passive income. One of the things that I really believe is that the more different income streams we can put into our lives, the easier it is to build a pathway to financial freedom. For me, the definition of being truly financially free is if you can have all of your living expenses paid for by passive sources of income. And so the first question I guess I'd put out to you is, and anybody can answer this, you can unmute or put it in chat, what exactly is passive income? If you were to fill in this blank, it's money that you receive without doing what to earn it? How would you describe passive income? Anybody?
Well, I think one of the examples that how I can describe it, I have rental units or rental property and I get somewhat passive income. I still have to participate, but not 9 to 5.
Okay.
It's somewhat passive.
Okay. Anybody else have an idea of how they would describe passive income? We're going to call it.
Hal, anything active. I like that. I actually heard a great quote from Warren Buffett that said, if you don't learn how to earn while you sleep, then you'll work until you die.
Oh man, that is fierce. I love that concept.
That's one of my favorites, really.
Yeah, and so passive income is an opportunity, right? And it's not for everybody. Not everybody cares. The truth is probably only about 25 or 30% of Keller Williams agents have ever gotten interested in getting involved in profit share. But I want to take a minute and give you the backstory on profit share, just as to how it came about, why it exists. Back in the day, real estate brokerages were all sort of cookie cutter, and they were very brand centric, meaning it was the company, the reputation of the company and the brokerage that was the attractive force that kind of brought business in. And pre-internet and all that sort of stuff, it was really the marketing that the broker did that brought business into the company. And so it was the broker's responsibility to generate the business, and then agents service the leads that came in. And that was the model forever and ever and ever. And what happened was, in that model, because the broker had so much overhead in terms of generating business, the splits were typically low. They were 50-50 splits across the board. If you were doing a lot more volume, there were some bonuses in place for you, but that's the way the business was. And it was in the mid-'80s, that some of the top agents sort of said, this is stupid. Like, my broker, I love him, but he's not creating my business. I'm creating my own business. I have my own relationships. I have my own networks. The broker's not training me or doing anything that would justify taking 50% of the commission dollars. And so a guy by the name of Dave Leniger, perhaps you've heard of him, started this little dinky company that they built around a logo of a red, white, and blue balloon, the company called Remax. And what they did is they actually started a whole revolution in the industry. And they moved away from a broker-centric model to an agent-centric model. And in the agent-centric model, what happened was the agent got most of the commission. In the early days of Remax, it was 94% of the commission to the agent, 6% to the broker. And the agent then chose to buy back services from the broker that they needed in order to run their business. Now, one of the main services back in the 80s is we didn't have the ability to work remotely. You needed to have a desk in the office. And so to have a desk fee would cost several $1,000s a month. The broker wasn't giving away everything, but it became much more agent focused and not broker centric. And what happened for Keller Williams was in 1987, on a Friday afternoon, about 40% of the top agents of the company went to Gary Keller and said, look, we love you, we wish you well, but we can make more money at Remax. And quite honestly, the reason why we're doing this is to create more wealth for our own families, not for you. And so we wish you well, but we're out. And they left. And on Monday, they came back and they recruited away the entire administrative team. And so that was kind of a wake-up call for this company. And what they chose to do was to say, okay, look, what are we going to do? How could we build a model where the agent and the brokerage could grow and succeed together? What would that third partnership model look like? And they formed the first Keller Williams Agent Leadership Council. They decided that they wanted to have a commission model that was capped. so that there would be a pathway for the agent to keep 100% of the revenues. And one of the things that the agents said was, you know, we want a pathway to have ownership sort of in this company. We want to have a pathway to the profitability, but I don't want to take the risk of being an owner, because when I'm an owner, if the things go sour and we're not making money, I don't want to have to reach into my wallet and pay your electric bill, but I want to have a pathway that I can share in the profits when they're profitable. And so we did what we always do. Gary Keller is, he puts the R&D department into full force. R&D, not research and development, R&D, rip off and duplicate. He looked around and he found another company. It happened to be a luxury builder in Houston or Dallas, one of the two, that had a profit sharing model that looked very much like ours. And so what we decided was, if we're going to cap the commissions, then in order to be more profitable, we need more agents. That makes sense. And so what we're going to tie profit share to is, if people can help us grow with talented agents who help us become more profitable, we're going to tie the entry point into sharing in the profit for people who help us grow. That's the model. That's the 40,000 foot view. And that's the backstory. And here's how it works. We really believe that associates should be treated as stakeholders, that they have a stake in this company. And we believe that everyone achieves more as a team. So we split the market center's profits between the owners who took the risk and are on the hook if things aren't going well, and the associates who help us grow. And I'm going to move quickly through these slides so you can get a picture of this. But there was a time a few years ago when Mark Willis was the CEO of Keller Williams International. I heard him say that sharing your profit is what it takes to have integrity if your revenue is generated by other people. That it's not even just a bonus. It's a basic fundamental issue of integrity. If your owner's profit is generated by other people and you don't give them a pathway to that, then you're just out of integrity, right? So here's how it works. An associate joins any market center, anywhere in the United States, anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the world, and they name you as their sponsor. Every one of you on this call named a sponsor when you came into Keller Williams. The associate pays company dollar as part of their split, right? 30% of the commissions goes to the company dollar. And here's the key. The market center actually has to have a profitable month. This is not revenue sharing. This is not when I have a closing and you're my sponsor, you get a cut of the money that I bring in, whether the office is succeeding or not succeeding. This is tied to the profitability of the office. And so every single month, we run a monthly business cycle. We close our books every month. We balance the books. We pay out all of our debt. There is not an office in our system that has ongoing debt, because we close the books every month and we pay all the debt. Whatever is left is profit. And that's the profit that gets shared. It's the owner's profit that's shared. It's not coming from any other source. There's a misconception out there sometimes that the agent who actually closed the deal is going to have to share some of their commission dollars with you in profit share. That's not how it works. Agents get all the commissions. It's the owner's money that gets split. And then finally, after 70 years of continuous service with the company, you're fully vested, meaning you can leave, you can retire, and as long as there's still people inside the company who are doing business and generating profit, and they're here because of your influence, you're going to continue to earn that profit share, whether you're still working at Keller Williams or you're not.
I'm good. I need
Finally,
to get a debit card for a new
I'm going
account
to ask
I opened.
whoever is there, I'm going to kind of mute everybody right now, just so that we can kind of have those side conversations quieted. The last point is your profit share. God forbid anything happened to you, it becomes an asset that you can will to someone else, so that your child or your spouse or an organization that you believe in can continue to earn the revenues through profit share. So quickly, how does it work? What does it look like? This is you, and this is your sponsor, and this is your sponsor, and it kind of goes back. The profit share tree goes back 7 levels. It's kind of like the book of Genesis, right? Who begat who? And so what happens is, for 7 different levels of this family tree, we call it, the business that you do will pay a dividend in profit share to 7 different people. And it's fun to go back and see how far back you can trace your tree. You can do that in the report section of your KW intranet page. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time now, but it's interesting to go back and look and see who is the sponsor of your sponsor and who is the sponsor of your sponsor. And a lot of legends in this company are probably right in your tree, right? Now, here's how it goes the other way though, because this is where the profit share works for you. When someone names you as a sponsor, they go into what we call your first level, the first of 7. And it's the only level that you can control. The only thing you can do is use your influence to get someone excited about coming into the company and get named in your first level. But here's where this really expands. If that person gets named as a sponsor, then the person that names them goes into your second level. And this goes all the way out for 7 different levels. Do you see how this geometric growth allows people, many, many more people, to kind of be funneling back into profit share for you, even though you may only have to use your influence to influence 3 people. And yet look how big this grows into the second level, and maybe even to the third and to the fourth and all the way out through the 7th. Is it too late to get started? No, absolutely not. The opportunity is here right now. Gary Keller says that the top profit share earner in this company is probably not even born yet. Is it real money? Well, we're going to have a panel discussion in just a second, and we're going to answer that question. But I'm here to tell you that, yeah, it's real money. Every month, the Market Center, roughly 52% of the profit is actually retained by the ownership group, and 48% of that profit goes right back out to the associates who help us grow. And here's what you need to know in terms of how that distribution looks. Your first level, the person who you got named you their sponsor, when the profit share is calculated, you're going to get 50% of the profit share distribution that their business generated that month. You're going to get half of it. And your sponsor, or the second level, gets 10%, and the third level gets 5%, and the fourth level gets 5%, and the fifth level gets 7.5%. The sixth level gets up to 10%, and the 7th level gets to 12%. And when I share this with people, they say, what the heck? Like, why does it do that? Why does it go down and come back up? The idea is simply this. Your first level is the person who is here because of your direct influence. Because of that the direct influence, you get the reward of 50%. And then it does kind of peter down and come back up, because as it comes back up, what this says is that the people that you sponsored also used their influence to help us grow. And the people that they sponsored also used their influence. And we built out to a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th level. And so because people have used their influence in that way, because you sponsored someone of influence, this begins to grow back up again into the higher levels. Don't want to get too caught into the weeds here, but this is a question people ask all the time. Could profit share be real money to me? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it can. And it's an equal opportunity, but an unequal outcome program. What would you do if you had passive long-term income? What would you do? Are you ready to take advantage of the opportunity here? Because you think about what it could do for you and your family. You think about what a passive income stream could do for somebody who is in need. And we've got 2 ladies here today who've done a really, really good job of using their influence to build their own profit share. And so I'm going to ask Gigi and Lisa to unmute if you would, because I'd love to kind of get some conversation going here. And if you have questions for them, rather than unmute, what I'd love for you to do is just throw those questions up into chat. I think Stephanie's monitoring the chat in the background. And so if you have some questions, throw it into chat and we'll get you unmuted. All right, Steph, if you could manage that for us, that would be great.
Of course.
All righty, so let me just kind of throw this question out there to both of you ladies. How did each one of you guys hear about Keller Williams? I mean, someone attracted you to come and do your business here. How did you hear about Keller Williams? And either one of you can kind of run with that.
Well, I'll go. First, I want to say my last name is spelled wrong.
Oh, God, I am so sorry. That was my typo, and so I'm really sorry.
It's a Z, not an S at the
It
end.
is. It just goes to show you that my ADD kicks in, and I owe you an apology.
Hal. I was actually, I had gotten into real estate investing, and I had joined the Garden State Real Estate Investors Association. And the owner's wife, I'm sorry, the president's wife at the time, she used to be, she was a real estate agent at KW. And she asked me, she knew that I had my license and what firm I was in. So I told her, and she said, come here, we need to talk. So we sat down and spoke, and she put me in contact with the TL. And I went to go speak to the TL, And it doesn't take me long to make a decision. And within 5 minutes of her doing her spiel, I told her, you can stop and just show me where to sign. And that was it. And I never looked back. And that was 14 years ago.
Yeah, terrific. Awesome. Gigi, how about you? How did you get attracted to KW?
So actually, I started my real estate career with Keller Williams.
You did?
Yes, it will be 7 years this November. I joined Keller Williams. So what happened was I was actually down at the shore in my hometown of Wildwood, and I was at a resort, a hotel there, and there was this gentleman sitting by the pool. And he was sitting by the pool so luxuriously, and it was probably a Tuesday or Wednesday late morning, afternoon, and he was literally smoking a cigar and just, I mean, living the life. And I just couldn't help myself. So I walked over to him. I said, I'm just curious, you know, what is it that you do? You know, what is, and he looked at me, he took a puff and he said, real estate, Keller Williams. And that's what he said. And turns out he was actually an OP.
Was it Al Donahue?
No, it was not Al Donahue. It was not Al Donahue. That right there, I had already been toying with the idea of, you know, real estate and really making it a career. And at that time I was in technology, and I just, you know, I wanted something that would be more conducive to, you know, my mentality, which was about building wealth, you know, and when he said that, you know, and again, you know, I was drawn to him sitting by the pool in the middle of the day, you know, smoking a cigar, you know.
Good work if you can get it, right?
Yeah, really. And I just, and so that really was what started it for me, you know. So I enrolled in real estate, you know, courses a short time later, you know, completed the course. I did some research on Keller Williams, you know, and truly, you know, just threw everything into it. You know.
And the rest is history, as they say, right?
Absolutely.
So, so let me ask you guys, and I mentioned this before. Probably only 25 or 30% of the agents in this company have ever been, you know, really been named a sponsor. Is this a decision that you guys made? Because you both are doing really well with profit share. Is this something that you chose to get purposeful about, or is it something that you just kind of happened for you?
Well, for me, it was once I saw how profit share works and how I could build it, it became purposeful. But for me, it's more about quality than quantity, the quality of the agent. So I'm not out there trying to just recruit anybody that I can. It's about the quality of that person. Are they going to be a good fit for KW? And I consider it a gift when I introduce somebody to KW.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's really important. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in terms of what you're looking for in that person. How do you evaluate who's a good fit? Who do you want to be in business with as a business partner, right? Hey, Gigi, how about you? Was it purposeful decision? Did it just kind of happen like your encounter with that OP at the pool?
And so it was purposeful yet very organic. I educated myself about the profit share system, you know, about Keller Williams, our values, our, you know, our mission, and really I became a student of it. You know? And the more I learned about the systems and the models, I wanted to share that with everyone that I spoke with, you know, and that really was what turned everything for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it started out sort of organically, and once you had your eyes open to what the opportunity looks like, then suddenly you got real purposeful about it. Awesome. You know, Lisa, one of the things, I'm going to put this question to you because we were talking about the many levels, right, of your tree, of people's trees, right? It goes 7 levels out. How many people do you have in your first line, Lisa? Do you know?
7 people in my
So
first
there's
line.
7 people that you have used your influence, that you've gone out and said, hey, this is a person that I admire, I would want to get into business with, and you introduced the idea of Keller Williams to them. And so you did that 7 times. How many people do you have in your downline in total today?
I have 112 people in my downline.
112 people. Guys, did you hear that? Do you know what happens when there's 112 agents doing business and every single one of them, when they have a closing, a certain percentage of the office's profit is targeted to you? That's really cool. And so one of the things that I will ask you, because I think, Lisa, that happens when you find quality over quantity, right? What are you looking for? What are you looking for in that business partner?
Well, for me, the most important thing is that I'm looking for is one, someone who is ethical. Ethics are extremely like number one on my list, because so many things could go wrong with someone who is not ethical. And we could spend, you know, a whole day talking about that. And then someone who would fit into our KW culture, right? And then also someone who's driven.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I'm looking for.
You know, that drive, I think, is a really critical thing. If you're really going to get purposeful about profit share, finding people who are driven, because what you find is sometimes you use your influence and some people come to the company and some people do business and some people don't. And some people get purposeful about kind of expanding this opportunity to other people and some people don't. I heard Mo Anderson one time say that there's kind of a tipping point that happens when your first line gets to 10 people. Because once it gets to 10, that's kind of the place where there's enough people probably that are going to be doing business and are going to make it purposeful that it's going to start to kind of take on a life of its own. But yours has done that. When I took a look at some of the numbers and I saw the size of your downline, I'm like, oh, sweet God, that is so cool. I am so excited to see that when I see that. Yeah. Gigi, your profit share experience is interesting because yours is really remarkably consistent. Like, you don't really miss a month very often. It's like every single month on the 21st day, you go to your bank account and there's a little present for you.
That's what it is.
How do you think yours has become as consistent as it has? How come it's been so consistent?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to remember to, let it grow in its own deep. You grow it wide and it grows itself deep. Right. And it doesn't have to necessarily go that deep. You know, you make sure that, as Hal said, you know, it's a numbers game. Not everyone is going to perform, but you can identify those people, you know, that are more than likely going to be successful, you know, and fortunately, I've been afforded an incredible opportunity as far as the training and, you know, the education with Keller Williams, thousands of hours, you know, easy, you know. So, you know, to be able to identify talent, you know, is very, it comes natural.
You know, you talk about being on a talent search, and I think that's something we always have to be looking for is everywhere I go. And it's not even just within the agent community. Everywhere I go that I see talent, is this possibly a good fit? You know, speaking of talent, though, I want to just kind of give a shout out, though, because you've done a lot of different things here. What was your first role when you first came to KW?
I joined Keller Williams as an agent, and about 18 months, maybe 2 years into my role as an agent, I became the technology coordinator in our Woodcliff Lake office. Shortly after that, I became the director of agent services. I was then an assistant team leader and team leader. So, and now I'm back to an agent. I'm a team leader of a group now, of a team.
You know what? You know, you and I are both in the recovering team leader mode. I've been a team leader twice, and I'm still in recovery. So I hear you. But let me ask you this question: do you think wearing the different hats has afforded you an opportunity to kind of be able to see talent in different ways?
1,000%, 1,000%. Again, I've been so blessed, you know, to be. I mean, I've sat with Gary Keller himself, you know, to talk about recruiting, you know, and some of the best minds in this business, you know, and Keller Williams, you know, affords that opportunity to the agents as well, you know. So I think, you know, as we go back to, you know, we're not just a real estate company, you know, we're a training company, we're a coaching company. We just happen to sell real estate, you know, we're a technology company, right? So absolutely, you know, it's you're able to identify, well, I'm able to identify those people who, you know, will do very well in this business.
Yeah.
There's something that you see.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot. You know, let me ask you guys this. One of the things I won't do is ask you to reveal what your earnings have been, because that's a private issue for you guys. But I will ask you this. What has your profit share earnings allowed you to do that otherwise you might not have been able to do, either at all or as easily? Is there anything that your profit share distributions have opened up doors for you in any way?
Oh, wow. I love that question. um, for me, profit share, it was important for me to be able to not just get profit share, but to be able to grow that into something else. So it has allowed me, one, I am an investor in a market center in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So it's helped me with that. And it's also helped me with growing my real estate portfolio. So now I have 24 rental properties that are cash flowing, and profit share has helped me acquire those properties. So it's done a lot. It's done a lot.
Know, Lisa, one of the things that I know being around entrepreneurs sometimes is that entrepreneurial people see opportunities everywhere, right? And I think one of the things that you've suddenly found through your profit share, it sounds like, is it's allowed you to have some cash to invest in ways to really take advantage of the opportunities when they come along for you.
Absolutely.
And that's been a really good thing, right? 24 cash flowing properties is pretty cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And I learned this, you know, after coming to KW, wealth building. It's all about, you know, getting plugged in and learning it. Keller Williams gives you everything that you need. You just have to pick up the tools and use them.
Let me ask you a question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but my definition earlier of financial freedom is when you have enough passive income streams that your living expenses are covered, and you don't really have to go to work if you don't want to. Are you there yet?
Yes, I am.
Oh, God bless you, my friend. That is a great feeling, isn't it?
Yes, it's beautiful because now I'm not thinking I need to get that next commission check. You know, I'm selling real estate because I love to sell real estate.
Isn't it really cool how you play differently when you don't feel the financial pressure? Don't you find that to be true?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It will, unless you have a really strong ethics, there are some people that may do things that may take them into an area where they shouldn't be because they're so, you know, dependent on getting that next commission check.
Yeah.
But doing it just for the love of it, it's different. It's very different than absolutely needing it.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Gigi? What's profit share allowed for you to do that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have been able to do?
Well, for me, it's been all about my daughter, you know, who is 2 years old, and I've been able to
Absolutely beautiful, by the way.
Well, thank you so
Yes,
much. Thank you. She's been an angel now. So it's really allowed me to, as Lisa said, take that chunk of money that we're getting every single month that we're earning, that passive income, and reinvest that. You know, and that's literally 100% what that money goes toward. You know, is reinvestments for her. You know, I'm thinking, you know, I'm creating generational wealth. And I want to make sure that my daughter is educated and has that financial literacy from day one. You know, why not start with investments for her, right? So literally from the day she was born, you know, even before then, you know, when she was growing inside of me, you know, I was working on investments for her, and a lot of that came through the passive income opportunities with BCP, specifically the profit share. You know, so it's been a game changer for me.
You know, isn't it amazing how we don't teach kids what they really need to know about finances?
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't, you know, and I think it's incumbent on us to kind of spread the word. I think all the folks who are out there who are teaching Quantum Leap for teens and for kids, who are kind of helping kids realize that, you know, what you learn at school is great, but let's talk about life for a minute here. And learning on how do you live your life in integrity, and how do you learn how to create, I love that phrase, generational wealth, right? This isn't just about me. This is about me, and it's about her, and it's about her kids, and it's about kind of teaching and modeling. How do you do this in a way that really creates a good world out there for everybody, right? I love that.
Absolutely.
Guys, I want to open up. If any of you guys have questions, I want to make sure that there's time. So if any of you have questions and you want to unmute or just kind of raise a hand. So if Stephanie's monitoring the chat room, she could call on you and we could get all of you guys in. Who's got some questions for Lisa or for Gigi?
I have a question about talent and recruitment. So I did try that in the past. I just joined Keller Williams. So I reached out to 2 people, actually 3 people now. I mean, I feel like it's really hard to know upfront how motivated people are. But I just feel like as long as I keep doing it, if I feel it might be the right match and it might work out, I'll keep doing it unless I feel like, well, this person is, forget about it. Even though sometimes if we think this way, oh, forget about it, I don't think it's a good match, but it could be, you know, contrary. It could be actually a person who will start working. So how do you know when it's the right match and who to recruit?
Well, I will say I always go back to the Y4C2Ts, you know, with Keller Williams, you know, win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first, understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, trust, success. All of those things really come into play when I'm speaking with someone because I don't want people associated with Keller Williams who don't fall in line with that, you know, no matter how great of a real estate agent that they are, you know. So if they kind of, you know, understand our belief system and we can build on that, I'm not looking for a home run the first time out. You know, I know this is a long ball game, you know, this is long term, you know, we're building relationships, we're constantly, you know, and also I'm talking about my own experiences, you know, which is super important. You know, I'm talking about, you know, I'm talking honestly about my experience with Keller Williams, how it's changed my life, how it's impacted my life, you know. So there's, you know, the word recruit, you know, is very, you know, that's what we're doing. But at the end of the day, you know, you're just having organic conversations, you know, you're having organic conversations about your experience, you know, and the right people will be attracted to Keller Williams and will be attracted to that 100%.
Absolutely. With Gigi, if they don't fit in line with our culture, then that's someone that I'm not even going to, you know, try to introduce to KW. Because like I said, it's, if I'm sharing KW with you, it's because I feel that you are worthy of it. That's how much I value KW. And I'm giving you a gift because I know what it's done for me. And I want to see that happen for you. And my hope is that person, when they join KW, that they also pay it forward and give that gift to someone else. So definitely, like I said before, integrity, and they have to fit into our KW culture. And it's about building relationships. It may not happen on the first conversation. You know, it may take time. It took one of my, one person that I brought into KW, it took me 3 years to get her to come to KW. 3 years, but she came. So it's about building that relationship.
Absolutely. And also just to tag on to that, you know, you don't even have to speak about Keller Williams every time you talk to them. You know, in fact, you probably shouldn't, you know, just have conversations, you know, your happiness it'll be visible, you know, your joy, you know, the fact that you are thriving with this company, you know, and that this is the company to be at, you know, it's gonna, you know, that will resonate with people, you know. So right. I truly believe that you have to just be genuine, you know, and just, you know, just speak your story. Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things I've always said to folks is that the easiest way to be an attractive force and get people interested in this company is to build a really, really cool life and a really big life. And then people look at you and are like, oh my God, how did you do that? I want some of that, right? And if you are living a big dream, a big life, and having a good, people want a piece of that action, right? Right? Who else has some questions? I have plenty more, but I'd rather hear your questions than mine. Who else has some questions that you might want to ask about profit share or about their experience?
Well, I'm a little curious about Gigi. You set up your daughter's. I love that you say generational wealth. I love that term as well.
Yes.
What did you do? How did you start? It's too late for my kids. They're adults, but maybe I'll get a late start and maybe for their kids. So just tell me what some of the things are that you set up.
So if I have 529, of course, that's, I started that from day one. But then I also have stocks for my daughter, that pretty much that's what a bulk of my investments are for her, are stocks. And my husband and I also invested in a property in Colombia, and she's on that as well. So, we're definitely, my goal is to have her have at least one rental property when she graduates in addition to the property in Colombia, one more property when she graduates high school. So that's my goal, and that's what we're working
Excellent.
Hey,
How about
can I just throw something in real quick that you touched on, and I want to make sure people heard what you said. One of the things about being in a big international real estate company is if you're looking to invest in real estate, sometimes there's options in other parts of the world which really, really make good financial sense, right? And the beauty of being in a company like this that's got a big international presence is that you can start to really reach out to agents in other parts of the world and start to partner and find those opportunities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's, and that's pretty much how the idea came about, is knowing, I go to family reunion every single year since I've been with this company, and you see the announcements of the new countries, and we're international. It's such a celebration. And I'm thinking, just think bigger. Think bigger, whatever you're thinking, think bigger. I'm a big believer of that, so I firmly believe what you said, it's not just here. Lisa, look at, Cabo, it's amazing the opportunities that exist, within real estate.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, just like we say in this industry, that came about because people ask me all the time, well, how did that happen? It's relationships, getting into relationships with people, right? That's how that came about. And let me tell you, this is what I have built today. I would have never, from where I came from, I would have never thought that I would be here today. I am from Detroit. I come from a poor family, single parent home. My mother couldn't even afford to buy me a crib. My crib was a dresser drawer that she put a blanket in. I would have never thought that if you had told me X amount of years later when you're an adult, you'll be an investor in a market center in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and you'll have 24 rental properties and your own business. I would have said, that's not my future. I don't know who you're talking about, but that's not my future. But here I am today. And I have to say, I owe that to everything that I have learned since I came to KW.
100%. Yeah, that's you're hitting the nail right on the head. The education that Keller Williams provides, aside from real estate. We all know this is the best place to sell real estate, right? That goes without saying. But it's just an amazing education on life and finances and the future, and it really, no matter how old you are, it's never so you just tap into it, because the resources are there, the education is there, the opportunities are there, and they are life-changing.
And yet, we all have our drunk monkeys, don't we?
We do.
And we all have this little voice in the back of our head that says, you know what? I see that working for Lisa, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so happy for her, and I see it working for Gigi, and I love her, and I'm so happy for her. But that really wouldn't be me, right? We all have this drunk monkey is saying, hey, that's for somebody else, right? And so here's a question I'll put out to both of you is, for somebody who is newer, right? There's this saying sometimes that says birds of a feather flock together. And sometimes people who are big names in the industry, when they make a move to a company like Keller Williams, creates a big splash and it's a big head turning moment. If you're newer and you don't have sort of that impact yet in the industry, How do you get into a relationship? What do you say? What's a good opening statement or a strategy on how you can start to build relationship with folks, even if you don't have the necessarily the name brand recognition yourself yet? Does that question make sense? How do you open it up?
Well, I think that it's important to first identify what's important to them, you know, and what I mean by that is, what are they lacking right now? Maybe if they're an experienced agent, so if they're lacking training, you know, at their current company, then you want to hone in on that. You know, if they are, you know, if they're a wealth-minded person, you know, wealth built, then you want to hone in on certain. So you open up the conversation kind of based on who you're talking to. That's been my experience. You know, nothing is generic, you know, with having these conversations. You know, it's all just natural conversation. So if there's someone that's you know what, I don't get any training at my office, and you know, it's, you know, I don't get anything there. I don't know what I'm paying for, right? And you want to say, wow, we have training pretty much every single day. And I mean, I'm on back-to-back Zoom sometimes, you know, I can't get enough of it, you know, it's all included. Like you don't get it, you know, so yeah, are you interested in coming to one of our classes? I can arrange that, you know? So you can even start there. It doesn't have to be a you know, a fastball that you're throwing at them, you know, it's kind of, you know, just meeting a need, you know, and that's kind of what my experience has been, you know, as far as opening up that conversation, you know, what's their need, you know, and how can we help? How can Keller Williams help?
Yeah, I totally agree with Gigi. And the conversation may, you know, it may not even start with real estate. For me, like I said before, it's getting into relationship with that person is the first thing, right? So for me, I would throw networking events. Like for me, one of my things that I would do every year, and this to grow our market center actually in Cabo San Lucas, every year I would put together a networking event that I would throw in Cabo. And the very first one, I didn't know if anyone would even show up. They didn't even know me. I'm this agent coming from, you know, New York. And surprisingly, and it was done all via, you know, email and the internet, we had I invited all of the brokers and agents from Cabo. They all showed up. So the saying is true. You give realtors food and drinks free, they will show up, right? I ended up meeting the #1 agent in that market. And I gave away the one thing, and I gave away the MREA as gifts to people who came to the networking event. And that's how I started, just getting into relationship with them. I presented them with an opportunity to come to a networking event. They came. I went around and met everyone. Until this day, I'm still friends with that #1 agent in the market. So for me, it's all about first building that relationship. And then what Gigi said, you know, honing in on what they need. And that'll come out, because I ask them, I don't focus on me, I focus on them, which I think is important. How's your business going? Tell me about your business. And then that in turn, you'll find out what they're lacking, and then they will turn around and ask you about your business. And then you talk about your experience. Don't vomit on them about KW. I just talk about my experience with KW, what it has offered me, what it has afforded me, what profit share has done for me in my life. And that's the way that I approach it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's really, what I heard both of you saying is that it really starts with coming from contribution and figuring out how can I add value to this person's life, right? And maybe it's through, here's a free copy of the one thing. Like, I'm not asking you to do anything other than read it. It's a game changer book. It's not about sales. It's about kind of how do you succeed at a high level? And I care about you enough that I want you to know how to do it, right? When you come from that kind of contribution and you do it with integrity, because I think sometimes, you know, people have a really sensitive BS meter. They know when you're not coming from integrity, right? And they can feel it. And the flip side is true. When you are, they feel that too, right? Have either of you ever attracted somebody into the industry who named you as their sponsor who wasn't a real estate agent before they got going? They came in from another industry because you just made it look so exciting. A little bit like the OP on the chaise lounge at the pool. Has that
That's
ever
what it
happened to
was.
either one of you?
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to me about that. How did that happen?
It was actually a friend of mine. He lived in Arizona. And I thought that he would be absolutely fantastic for real estate because he was a manager of a call center in the Philippines. And he was great at it. It was like customer service. He was all over it. That was his thing, customer service. And I thought that translates so well into real estate. So I spoke to him about it, and I spoke to him for a while about it. And he wanted to do it part-time. And then unfortunately his company closed down. So he got, laid off. And he joined Keller Williams full-time. And he is phenomenal. He is a phenomenal agent.
Just as you thought he would be, right?
Yes.
And again, it's always about being on a talent search. We always think, I'm trying to look for other agents. And yeah, you want to look for somebody who'd be great in this industry, but I'm here to tell you that you guys weren't born in real estate. You did something else first. And so we got to constantly be keeping our spider sensors tingling for when I see somebody who's great in whatever they do, could that be an entry point to have a conversation about this, right? Who else has got some questions? We have about 5 or 6 more minutes here. Who else has got some questions for Gigi or Lisa? This has been a good conversation, I think. But who else would like to ask a question?
I have a question, if you don't mind. So I've been recruited by Keller Williams Center about maybe 5 years ago, and I didn't really like their energy. I didn't join that particular center. And then I was reapproached again by KW Village Square and Ridgewood, and it was completely different energy. It was, I wanted to join. I actually said, first I thought, I was like, oh, forget about it. They're just going to try to recruit me and whatever. I wasn't in the mood at all. But then I really enjoyed and liked the energy so much that I decided, yeah, why do I sign? So let me do that. And I feel like sometimes when we recruit people, how do we, like when that there is no real connection with that maybe KW center where they are. So I guess we have to be this missing link and maybe, help them grow, because not every center, not every KW center is the same. And not everyone has that great energy that will keep you going. I know it from experience. How do you deal with that? Is it like you will reach out to them, like say maybe weekly, checking on their progress, supporting them, or maybe monthly at least, and help them grow? Because they may not get that support from the center where they are in, where they enrolled with.
Well, I know personally for me, anybody that I bring into KW, I am there from them. I've coached and mentored some of the people that have come in, but all of them, I want them to know that I'm there for them. Any questions that they may have about the industry, about anything, or if they need to just, bounce a scenario off for someone, I'm there for them. It doesn't matter if they're in another market center, because I always want them to feel supported. So whenever they need me, I just had, a couple of people this morning reach out to me that I brought into KW, but I'm always there for them, any questions that they have.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's important really to remind them, 2 things. Something I'm thinking of as we're having this conversation, I never ask someone to name me as their sponsor. I've never, in my entire career, I've never done it. First of all, because you're not supposed to, and secondly, I want it to be organic. Sometimes I'm surprised, I've had times where I don't even necessarily, I would have thought, wow, I guess I had that much of an effect on them. So I think it's important to remember that, you're not even asking them to be your sponsor, to be their sponsor. This is something that they're choosing because they really feel, that connected to you, and I feel like, in that sense, not that I would be obligated to them, but I mean, I want to help them. I want to, I really want to help them grow, so absolutely 100%, I'm there. And especially in my role when I was assistant team leader or team leader, that was part of the role, was to continue to support, and I love that. I love doing that. because you're meeting these people sometimes from the beginning of their career in real estate, you know, and to see them blossom, to see them take off, and or to see them go from a situation where maybe they aren't happy in their previous company and to see their life change at Keller Williams. I mean, I want to be along for that ride. So absolutely, you know, I'm definitely there with them and making sure that, you know, they know if they ever need anything, they can reach out.
You know, Chichi, I want to just anchor what you just said there about something that's really important. It's not really good form to ask people to name you as the sponsor. Here's what happens too many times, and I've seen it happen. A lot of agents know a lot of agents. And I remember when I was a team leader in another market center, not in our group, I opened up the Keller Williams office in Montclair about 8 years ago as their first team leader. And I remember as we were starting to build, there were people that we cared about that we wanted to give this opportunity to, and they knew like 12 different people in the office. And what happens is it really creates conflict. Oh my God, who am I going to name? And what sometimes happens is the conflict becomes so difficult for them to deal with that they just choose not to come. And then what happens is they don't get the opportunity to have their lives changed. And so I'm going to really beg you that never, 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 right? Don't ever ask somebody to name you. They're going to pick who they're going to pick. And hopefully you're that person because you've used your influence with integrity and you've done it in an organic way. And you know what? It's happened for all of us that people who come in that you would have sworn would have named you as a sponsor, they named somebody else. And so be it, right? There's plenty of opportunity out there, right? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of drive that point home.
Totally agree. I couldn't stress that more, Hal. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, I used to say to the agents when I was team leader, there's 2 reasons why I'm going to fire you on the spot. One of them is going to be if you do something illegal and unethical. And the other one is if I hear you ask somebody to name you as a sponsor, you're gone. That was just the way I played. But go ahead. I see a hand there, Miss Tracy. What you got?
Hi. Speaking on what Gigi was saying, when I first got my license, I came to Keller Williams. I was sponsored by another agent whose team I joined. And Gigi was the assistant team leader at that point. She became our team leader, which I loved, and then she moved on. And it just recently dawned on me that I missed that connection. So I have now, even though she wasn't my sponsor, I have now decided to leave the Fort Lee office and I am now on her team. So I'm still there. So she may not be, it's a better relationship for me anyway.
Love it. Thank you.
How do you like that? That's
Love
so cool.
that.
Guys, it is it's 4 o'clock and I would love to keep this conversation going because I feel like we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg here. But I want to thank Gigi and I want to thank Lisa for being such remarkable ambassadors, right? Because you guys are what we want to be about, I think, right? And you guys wear it well. And I want to thank you guys for being who you are and for being willing to, the moment I sent the email out, guys, to ask if they would be in this panel, they couldn't answer yes fast enough. And they couldn't tell how quickly they wanted to share what they have about this because it has been so impactful in their lives and they wanted to share it with all of you. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and yourselves in the way that you do all day, every day, as always. We wouldn't be the company we are without you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Hal, for
Thank
having
you, Hal.
All right.
Yes.
Guys, I
Thank
think
you, everyone.
we're going to wrap it up here. All right, guys, have yourself a wonderful day. It is hot out there. Stay hydrated, people.
Yes,
And
please do.
we'll see you guys again real soon. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye, guys.